Welcome everyone to the first ever Qubic Slovenia convention held in the beautiful city of Ljubljana. Together with Rok, our Slovenian ambassador, we organized this event to showcase Qubic and its potential that it has to revolutionize the world of AI and the blockchain as we know it. We're really happy that so many people came today. I must say that with Rok we are really happy and thank all of you. And also see some familiar faces here today. We have the COO of Oasis Protocol, we have some CEOs of Slovenian tech companies, and some of the OGs from the Slovenian crypto space. But let us start with our first guest. He's Rok Strauss, for sure the person that knows the most about Qubic in Slovenia, and the co-host of this event. So Rok, please join us on the stage.
Thank you, Nate. Welcome, innovators, welcome, tech enthusiasts, and welcome, curious minds. It is my absolute pleasure to have you at this unique event, which is, by the way, directly initiated by Qubic ever-growing community. So, exciting times lie ahead for Qubic ecosystem, motivated by the remarkable work of Qubic team. Me and Nate personally organized this event just for a few friends and developers, as he said, to celebrate and showcase the incredible potential that this ecosystem has. But as soon as we shared intentions with the official Qubic team, they not only offered us to sponsor this event, but also shared interest in joining us today. So it is my honor to say that we have here with us today 3 official members of Qubic Core Services team, along with their Qubic AI researcher. Please join me in giving them a warm round of applause as we welcome them to Slovenia. So, Qubic is far from another blockchain project. It is firstly the most advanced smart contract platform, as it is the only blockchain project aiming to achieve artificial general intelligence by the year 2027. So all of this is theoretically made possible thanks to the unique Qubic features which aim to take capabilities of ordinary blockchain to the next level. So here's what I think. Qubic is at the end of the innovators phase, and the team is focused hard into scaling it into the early adopter phase, okay? So community and the developers are enthusiastic about these great prospects that this technology has. Of course, from a developer standpoint, there are still some challenges to overcome, but it is also a great opportunity to start now and have this first mover advantage on building on most advanced smart contract platform. Whether investors or developers, it is usually most rewarding entering in this phase. Why? I think so because we have this technology that can already be tested. Now it's just the matter of time before it gets recognized worldwide as more and more stuff is being built on top of Qubic. So I genuinely believe if you are sitting here today and you didn't hear about Qubic before, you belong to a small percentage of people who will get a glimpse of what Qubic is before it takes a great impact on the world stage. But before I explain to you what Qubic is and its relation to AI, you have to forget what you know about blockchain technology. So Qubic is built differently from ground up to surpass current blockchain limitations with the goal of reaching capabilities that were previously unknown to crypto. So let's begin. Firstly, it utilizes a quorum-based consensus mechanism. So where 676 special nodes called computers validate the network. So in order for the network to achieve this agreement on the validity of transactions, it needs at least 2/3 of these special nodes to agree. That's why it is called a quorum. So this kind of consensus mechanism prevents 51% coordinated malicious attacks and also ensures the next levels of decentralization. It is not exactly a blockchain by definition, as it uses ticks instead of blocks. So what's the difference? Unlike blocks, ticks have no direct linkage of one tick to another. Okay? I think this is important because a large code is needed in traditional blockchain systems to keep track of block reorganizations, transactions, etc. This is what is also hindering the speed. So tick chain enables Qubic to have instant finality and amazing performance. It is actually the first and the only blockchain to run entirely from RAM. It doesn't need an operating system to run. It runs on bare metal. This also, what it does, it cuts the unnecessary intermediates between the hardware and the execution layer, which is preventing any malicious entity to enter the network. It is actually the fastest smart contract platform, as it can process up to 55 million smart contract transfers per second. It is also the only network that runs entirely without gas fees. So transactions are free of provision and are executed with instant finality. All the processes within Qubic are executed in a clear-cut manner, guaranteeing complete decentralization. All of the system source code is published as an open source for everyone to check on GitHub, so it's fully transparent. What is of really great importance to me, the project is fairly launched. So that means it didn't have any pre-mines or pre-sales of the coin. This is important to me because I think people are increasingly frustrated about the unfair conditions that are imposed by the corporations and other individuals who participate in this kind of pre-sales or pre-mines of the tokens. So in Qubic, the really cult-like community, the dedicated team, and the state-of-the-art technology are the ones who make things happen and the voice heard, not the vast amounts of corporate money. Furthermore, every expenditure by the team and other endeavors is derived directly from computer or miner revenue, which is agreed upon by the key entities that run the network, the computers. Furthermore, all the team expenditure must be fully transparent and are also subject to voting by all major participants. Qubic also introduces a shareholder-based smart contract. So for every new smart contract implemented, there is an auction, we call it an IPO auction, where users can acquire shares for this particular smart contract by bidding their funds. So when users acquire these shares for smart contracts, they then collectively determine the usage fee for this particular smart contract, and the revenue is then proportionally distributed among the shareholders based on the share ownership. But what do the regular users who do not own shares gain from this, you might ask? So the coins that are acquired during these IPO auctions are permanently removed, from the system. We could say actually they are burned, but they are actually moved to the smart contract execution pool. More on that in the next topic. So far, we have burned about 10% of supply this way, and it is, of course, anticipated that with more and more new smart contracts, this coin removal process will only increase. So this is a prime example of another Qubic unique feature that is not here. Every function in Qubic positively, it is designed that it positively affects the entire community, in this case with these burn mechanisms. So now let's move on what I think is one of the most appealing features of Qubic. It's tokenomics. So for starters, we have 124 trillion circulating supply. Currently, weekly emissions are set on 800 billion Qubic tokens. And the max supply is capped at 200 trillion. So this number may seem vast at first glance, but context is really important here, okay? Just like Bitcoin has these units, satoshis, they're indivisible. So our Qs, as the currency we call in Qubic, is also indivisible. So if we take that one Bitcoin holds 100 million satoshis, we can determine that Bitcoin max supply is 2,100 trillion satoshis. So if we then compare this supply to Qubics, we can see that the Qubic supply is less than 10% of that Bitcoin. It is 10 times more scarce, to say. Furthermore, Qubic has smart contract burn mechanisms. As I mentioned before, coins that are acquired during these IPO auctions are permanently removed from the circulation. They're not actually burned, but they are moved to the smart contract execution pool. So imagine every smart contract in Qubic needs Qs like fuel to operate, okay? So the smart contract execution pool is basically like a fuel tank for the particular smart contract. When this fuel tank runs out, shareholders need to refill the pool for smart contract to continue to operate. So it is anticipated that with more volume on each smart contract, more and more fresh Qs will have to removed from the circulation. So more and more volume on Qubic ecosystem also positively benefits the entire community. Furthermore, Qubic has minor reward halving events, similar like those in Bitcoin, but there are a few differences. So in Bitcoin, these halving events happen every 4 years. In Qubic, halving events are projected to happen every year, okay? So we can determine then that with this kind of halving events, Qubic has way faster curve of diminishing these emissions than Bitcoin. However, Bitcoin halving events are embedded in the code. Qubic halving events are subject to voting. So just recently, a proposal was passed by the computers that they will have these minor rewards after 52 weeks. But here may arise a problem, okay? So if we have too much of the burns from smart contract burn mechanisms and other burn mechanisms, we might get extreme deflationary scenarios. This stuff is pretty unpredictable. So Qubic has a built-in feature called the supply watcher, okay? The supply watcher is basically designed to prevent these imbalances of the network that are caused by too much burns. What it does is basically it dynamically modifies the emission rates. If the current supply curve will deviate too much from the anticipated curve, okay? It is only in place if we have these extreme deflationary events. It cannot, for example, modify other stuff, like circulating supply or directly circulating supply or these smart contract burn mechanisms. It can only modify dynamically based on the real-time data the emission rates. So As you can see, this is a very well thought out tokenomic system. It is, of course, hard to understand at first glance, but when you really dig into it, it's, in my opinion, one of the most innovative approaches to tokenomics there is. You see, innovation is what drives the Qubic system forward. Qubic team is just in the final stages of implementing first-of-a-kind, groundbreaking, flexible or custom mining model. It will actually use the idle mining power that is available until AGARD, Qubic AGI, Artificial General Intelligence Project, computational demand increase, okay? The strategy involves using this idle mining power to either mine other cryptocurrencies or use it for other external computational tasks. And then with the profit is made in USDT. With the USDT, then Qubic or Q tokens are bought on the open market and are later burned, okay? This will create a self-reinforcing cycle and will potentially act as a flywheel, potentially driving up the price of Qubic. With it, it will attract more and more miners as mining gets more profitable. Why do we need these kind of implementations? So in order for the AGARD to succeed, we need much more mining power that is currently available. But please take note that this kind of custom mining model not only benefits the miners, but also benefits all the holders. This is another example how every function is designed to positively affect the entire community in Qubic. It affects positively with this price appreciation and burn mechanisms. So Qubic already in this phase has about 15 to 20 full-time core developers, paired with numerous marketing experts, advisors. They are all onboarded and guided by the skilled Qubic core services team, whose actions are overseen, most of them, by the independent grants committee. Together, these teams in the middle onboarded some more external developer teams that will develop crucial developer tools and ecosystem elements that will help to push Qubic into the early adopters phase with the incubator and grants program. More on these programs in the next slide. So let me just here explain to you how generally proposals in Qubic work. So at the very top, we have computers who are the key entities of the network, as they are the decision makers, okay? So they decide if the proposal gets passed or not. So for example, if we have a community demands something, let's say a funding for this or that, the Qubic core services team job is to find these demands and draft the proposals for the computers, which they then collectively determine if they are passed or not. So I mentioned that the Qubic core services team onboarded some seriously experienced developer teams which will develop these crucial tools and elements. Just let me explain what this is all about. So the difference between these two programs is grants program is focused on non-profitable projects built on Qubic, while incubation program is focused on profitable projects built on Qubic. Just let me name a few amazing projects that were accepted this way not so long ago. So for grants, we have QubicPy. This is a Qubic Python library, which will enable developers an ease of access on working on Qubic network. I'm not a developer myself, but I heard that C++ is a pretty challenging language to build on. So this is very much needed. Then we have Qubic metrics. This is basically a Qubic analytics dashboard for Qubic Explorer. This will consist of really useful informations like how much do the exchanges own, how much do the computers own, how much do top 100 wallets own, and also who is selling, are the computers selling, are the miners selling, are the, you name it. There's all available on this, so really useful information. Next, we have a Qubic name service. This is basically a decentralized name service for Qubic network. It's like a domain. Next, we have Qubic J. This is like Qubic Pi. It's a Qubic Java library also for ease of access for some of the developers to work easily on a Qubic network. QFront, another amazing project that will offer tools for wallet management, data tracking, dApps, gaming integration, etc. Now for the incubation programs, we have firstly USDT bridge to Ethereum virtual machine. So this is a bridge that will connect Qubic network with the Ethereum network and will probably take some market share of Ethereum. Just imagine what happens when the fastest, most scalable, and most advanced smart contract platform meets the slowest, the most expensive network. We are potentially talking about billions and billions in volume. So pretty excited to see this one play out. Next, we have liquidity pools. These are basically pools that will enable high-frequency trading on Qubic network, and will also provide a trading fee for all the liquidity providers. We have QX user interface. This is a long-awaited Qubic decentralized exchange. I think it's going to make a serious impact in the decentralized exchange business because of these unique Qubic features. Swap on Qubic is another decentralized exchange which will have a user interface like Uniswap, where users will be able to swap their tokens without any transfer fees. This is a community-initiated and developed project. It was approved by the community. And lastly, we have Nostromo Launchpad. This is like a fundraiser for newly created projects on Qubic. This will enable users to allocate their funds to newly created projects, and in return, these developers will offer all the users that donated funds, that allocated funds, some tokens in exchange, which may appreciate in price, of course, if the project is successful. So as you can see, with this kind of projects, Qubic is leveraging its unique features and it's ready to be available in wider crypto community. I personally believe when dApps like these are ready, Qubic is absolutely ready to dominate crypto space. It was just a massive month for Qubic. For example, a few weeks ago, a white paper was released. It's 80 pages long, beautiful white paper. Congrats, team, for making it happen. It has created a significant impact, as it is, of course, Qubic is very unique in many aspects. Also, two renowned scientists in the fields of artificial intelligence and human brain biology are finishing up scientific peer-reviewed papers about AGART, Qubic Artificial General Intelligence Project. One of those scientists is actually here with us and will hopefully share some insights about it. Looking forward to his speech. So just yesterday, this is really fresh news, Qubic announced that it's actually the number one supercomputer in the world regarding CPU cores. It has, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, about 700,000 miners globally, and 11 million CPU cores, which is a pretty impressive number. Also, what happened just 3 days ago, community-initiated project, which was also then later part with the grant program, QEarn was launched. So it is actually the first staking on pure proof-of-work chain. This alone is very revolutionary. What it does is basically it offers users to allocate their funds into weekly created pools, and are they later earning compounding rewards. So here's how it works. So 10% of Qubic weekly emissions are redirected into these weekly created pools. There's a saying in crypto, if you don't know where the yield comes from, you are the yield, okay? So in this case, we know where the yield comes from. The max staking period is 52 weeks. You have two options. Of course, if you complete a 52-week staking period, you earn full reward that is determined with how much funds are in this pool by other allocators. And there is other option, of course, is to unlock early. No problem with that. If you want to sell your allocated funds, your funds here, in this case, are immediately available, as QEarn offers no unlocking period, unstaking period. It also offers no unlocking penalty, so your initial funds are untouched, okay? And it also, what is most importantly here, it poses no third-party risk because it is a core function of, it's a smart contract that is directly built on Qubic. So if you unlock early, you get a partial reward, and the rest of the potential reward is redistributed, is going back to the pool, and it boosts the yield for the remaining participants. So the participants, when they start the staking period, they know that their yield is just going to go higher in time, because I believe people will unlock before this 52-week period. So as you can see, this is really revolutionary. And it's a community-initiated project, which is really interesting. Now, let's move on to the last slide. Let's talk about the founder of Qubic, Sergey Ivancheglo, also known as Come From Beyond. He's an absolute IT genius, serial innovator, we may call him. He earned his doctorate, which he pursued in Minsk, that was focused on artificial intelligence and electronics in 2000. So that was really when AI was nowhere to be heard of. He is known to be one of the first Bitcoin miners. He's also known to be the founder of the network called NXT, which was actually the first non-Bitcoin clone. It was founded back in 2013, so that's really early. It is also known that in this network he implemented the first 100% proof-of-stake model, the consensus model, on which Ethereum migrated just a few years ago. It also was the first ICO project, okay? So I believe it also ignited and inspired the 2017 ICO mania. Next, he's known to be IOTA co-founder. Probably you've heard of IOTA if you're in crypto, where he implemented in IOTA Tangle, he implemented the first DAG protocol, the protocol used by many successful crypto projects these days. IOTA is actually known to be the best deal of 2017 crypto bull run, okay? It has it has actually achieved a stunning, mind-bending 650,000% from the initial coin offering. And the other, the NXT, has achieved also a mind-bending 500,000% from the initial coin offering, okay? So this guy has been actually working on Qubic for more than 15 years. He tried to implement it in IOTA, but they parted ways. I believe that Qubic is going to be the most successful project of his, as it is also the longest in the development. And it has a proven track record of really serious innovations. So what this guy did was also, he invented the first algorithm for mining, where mining wouldn't serve in the sole purpose of obtaining the cryptocurrency by solving these arbitrary puzzles, but is used also to train artificial neural network that will enable Qubic artificial general intelligence AGARD. So this is the topic the next speaker will talk about. I'm pretty excited to see him speak. This was it from my side. It was again a pleasure. I hope, I just touched here a tip of the iceberg, okay? Qubic is much more than this. I hope I intrigued you so much that you will do your own research on this. And if you are tech enthusiasts, it will I guarantee, give you months and months of enthusiasm, okay? So thank you again. If you have any questions regarding my presentation. Okay, so thank you very much.
Wow, Rok, thank you very much for this detailed and really deep presentation of Qubic. I'm sure many of you today feel a little bit overwhelmed by this presentation because it's quite a lot to take in this half an hour. But if you are amazed with Rok's presentation, I'm sure you're going to be blown away by our next speaker. He comes from Spain. His name is Dr. David Vivancos, and he's a pioneer whose motto is teaching machines, advising humans, and exploring brains. He's an advisor to several tech companies, a speaker at conferences and events, and the author of 3 remarkable books, The End of Knowledge, Automate or Be Automated, and From Big Data to Artificial Intelligence. Let's give a warm applause to Dr. Vivancos.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. My first time in this beautiful city of Ljubljana. I hope it's not the last. This beautiful country of Slovenia. So I'm very grateful to be working also with Qubic and letting you know a bit more about what is all the things related to AI in that regard. But first I'm going to introduce myself. I have been in this field of technology somehow from very, very early on. I was thankful that my father, that passed away when I was 15, taught me first to play chess, and I won a few medals in that game. But very early on, I started computing. I started coding. I started with assembly, and then with many other languages, 25 at the moment, because I think we need to start to see if we're able to communicate with machines. And computing languages, many of them, we have heard a few of them early on too, are fundamental. Back then, in 1985, I created my first company. It was one of the first internet companies here in Europe. Also, I created one virtual reality company, a pioneer one. And I also give here in Europe the first Java programming language course back then, because I thought that creating companies is one of the first ways that you can do to focus technology and see that things that are impossible become possible. A bit later, in 1998, I also created my first neurotech venture, because we need to understand better how our brain works. And I have been doing that since that time for art purposes, for technology purposes, because I think the interlink between the brain and the other thing is fundamental. I also created a nanotechnology for a space company back in 20 years ago, in 2004, more or less when Elon Musk created his one. He did better than me. I invited him to one conference I gave in San Francisco in 2005, because I think that we need to explore also new frontiers, and for that I think space is fundamental. But over the last 25,000 hours of my time, I have been researching in AGI, creating models, creating different algorithms, so we are able to follow this path of trying to create machines that are at the level of human intelligence. It's a daunting task because we need to foresee different things that we don't know exactly how they work, and I have been working in that, and that's why when Albert, that is down there, told me about Qubic, I was very proud to be working also with Qubic, with my good friend Jose Sanchez, the other neuroscientist that is working in creating this paper, this scientific way to try to understand what Sergey is doing with this algorithm and try to put it in a paper that is going to be published probably by the end of this year, earlier. Because we need to focus on what are the things that are being done internally in this Qubic network and see how this is really playing out to be an AI. But we need to think, what is AI? Because AI is now in the media, everybody's talking about AI. You will probably be using AI. If you are not using, I guess you should start using it. Because AI is like fire. If you don't use AI, is like if when fire come around, you didn't use fire. So I of course, encourage you to use any AI and the best AIs that you can. And AI, for me, comes from this beginning, because since the beginning of time, we are always trying to try to conquer our environment, try to extend our capabilities, physical and also mental capabilities. And for that, we need to start to create tools. And AI, for the moment, and only for the moment, is a tool. And tool is what humans create and what humans use also to create the societies and create the world where we live. It has been true since the beginning of time again, and we use different tools. And of course, the last tool that we have created is this, what we call the deep learning revolution of this, what I call the new golden age of artificial intelligence. I call it that it starts in 2012, 2013. And over the last 10 years, we have these incredible networks that are trying to mimic how the brain works. We have neurons, about 100 billion of them, 100 trillion of interconnections. And with these deep neural networks, we try to see if we are able to mimic some of the things that our incredible brain does. Some of it we already are there, some of them are not. But this way of trying to restructure these digital bits into something that is useful is one of the fundamental things. And one of the things that these AIs can do at the moment is see better than us. And seeing the world is something fundamental. We need to see, to interact. 2/3 of our brain are devoted to brain process, to process some sort of pattern recognition. And having machines that can do that better than us is something that is one of the key principles that why deep learning is changing everything over these last 5 or 6 years. Also, now machines can speak and understand language even better than us. And that is even more profound and more fundamental because we have used language. I'm using language at the moment to communicate with you. And we use language to create societies, to understand which each other. And now we have these machines that are not only able to create language, but to understand it. And that's just a few years ago was science fiction, and now it's a full reality. You can talk to these AIs. The thing is that these AIs are not distributed globally and across the globe correctly. I think we need to find different ways so these AIs are not just in the powerhouses of the west coast of the US, in these big tech companies, and they are basically owning all these new AIs, and later these new AGIs that are coming. And that's what I think these new decentralized projects like Qubic is fundamental to try to foster that. And Qubic, precisely, is well suited for being in that journey, because the journey is something that must start at some project that is not owned directly by this kind of company. And that's one of the ways why when Albert told me about this project, I was very enthusiastic about it, because it's the way to go. Because, believe me, we are in a race between humans and machines. And I don't know if we are going to win that race, but it is better if we are in the race, because otherwise we will be fully left apart if we don't walk into that direction. Because AGI is coming. AGI, of course, is another trendy word at the moment. It means that we are able to create a machine that can do everything that a human can do, and everything. And in that sense, it's something that everybody that is in this business thought that is going to happen over this decade. Some people think that maybe next year. Sergey think maybe a couple of years, but it's probably in the range of these days. And that's why I coined this word. Embodied AGI is the title of my 4th book, because I think AGI, to really success, must be embodied, must be with a physical body, and that's one of the fundamental traits of AGI, not just thinking about just a machine in the cloud. And I also coined the word artificiology. It is the science of trying to study how these machines are going to evolve. If we have anthropology to study how humans evolve and how humans are today, I think we need the same for artificiology, and have created this platform. And for the first time in worldwide, I'm showing you what is this about, this artificiology platform. This artificiology will have a barometer that will tell you a bit more about what it's about. It will also track what are the main players in this AGI business. what is the state of the minds, people building minds of AI, people building the bodies of AI, and also what is the status of research, and also some sort of way to be educated in that regard. So it's going to be like a full platform, so you can be updated in this field that is changing basically and literally by the week. So it's the first good approach, scientific approach, to try to understand that. Regarding the barometer is going to track, this is also the first time that it's shown, the last edition of this barometer from just a few days ago. We are now at 50% closer to general artificial intelligence embodied, and it tracks like different 8 big metrics regarding cognitive performance, embodied cognition, world modeling, language understanding, and many other things. So we can track in different, exactly in 144 metrics, how close and how far are we in all these things. Regarding the cognitive performance, one thing that we humans use, of course, to have an operating, working daily basics, we need to have machines that are closer to that. We are close to 80% in that regard. They already are able to solve different issues, solve problems, not exactly like human does, but more in the sense closer to that. Of course, they need to understand also that when they are solving that kind of issues, they need to understand what is the difference between the past and the present. They need to be not only able to pattern recognize different aspects of the world, but also try to relate between time, how it works. And they also need to work fast. Our brain works quite fast. For some things, not so much. Most of the things that happen in our brain are about 200 milliseconds, but some other act in some other quantum ways that we don't know yet exactly how they work. Of course, they need to be embodied. They are going to be among us. Of course, my prediction is that we are going to have millions of embodied artificial intelligence by the end of this decade, probably more than 10 or 20 millions. And they have to embed all the different sensors. We have 5 main sensors. We have more of them, but 5 are the main. And we need to have these machines to embed, like our vision and all of our senses to be together. And they also need to understand the world, because if they are going to live among us, these anthropomorphic robots, they need to be aware of what's happening. And for that, they need not only to understand how they see the world, but also to create world models. And world model is one of the fundamental traits of artificial intelligence at the moment, because thinking that only with language, that is what LLMs are doing so far, is enough, is not enough. We need to have more modalities. We need to have vision. We need to have other things to understand how the world works, how the other entities in the world, like all the animal species and other things, work in this environment. Also, consciousness. Consciousness is really the big still missing piece in AI and in AGI. From my last studies, it's close to 0%, so we are not there yet. We even don't know exactly what consciousness means for humanity. What is qualia? What is this capacity to understand that how are we ourselves? And I think this is one of the critical aspects to grow if we want to really have these AIs being fully at the level of humanity. Of course, they need to conquer language. They already are here, probably at 80% at the moment in most of the metrics. So they already are able to speak with us in different languages. They are able to understand these little subtle nuances of the communication between humanities, and that's another fundamental. And they probably will develop their own language in the process. They already have done it in some tests in laboratories, but they're going to be a growing field to see how all this develops. And of course, emotions. Emotions are another critical area of humanity. Without them, probably we won't be here. And some areas of our brain and some of our senses, for example, the smell sense, we smell like 1 trillion different odors, and it's very related to the emotions that we feel when we smell again that things. And of course, creativity. All the things that you are seeing here, of course, are AI created. All this video is fully created by AI. They are coming quite well in this track of artificiology. And of course, there are many things that need to grow, like storytelling and many other things, and have this cohesive and aesthetics narrative to follow that path. So I think it's one of the areas of development. And lastly, the 8th parameter is related to autonomy. They need to be operating in the world without human intervention. That means goal planning. That means being able to foresee what the future is happening and having this track and even communicate with all the other entities. And believe me, we are in a race. We are in a race of AGI. It is not a single company that is working on that. There are many companies that are trying to get there, and there are many of them. This is the last one that I have tracked from my barometer. And of course, you have the Qubic, because Qubic is one of these companies that, of course, is taking a different approach into AGI. The other companies, most of the other companies, are using different kinds, mostly following up around LLMs, and Qubic is focusing on a different approach on getting it, and we are going to tell you more about how all this works. So I think if you need to track these players, Every one of them is trying to do that. Everyone is trying to create these artificial brains. We don't know how a brain works. As I told you, we have a lot of neurons, and we cannot replicate that directly. So that's one of the ways to go. And what the other companies are doing is securing that kind of devices, that NVIDIA the cards. We don't have even yet, I call them the brains of machines, and we don't have enough of them. The true reality is there is not even 1 million of the last good H100 or H200 there. And most of the other companies are doing the same. They are following like chips, doing the same follow path of trying to increase capacity, increase computing capacity, and increase the number of data that they have so they can create better AIs. And that's limited because we are not building enough of these brains of machines to cope up with that. So the big question is there another way? Is there another way to do it instead of just trying to follow the specific path? Most of the research path, I go to several AI conferences worldwide, and most of the people researching here are researching again on LLMs. And the thing is that should be another way that is more suited and more close related to the way our brain works, and trying to focus on that is the key of in this case, AGARTH. AGARTH is the name of this AI from Qubic, because it's using like this, forget what you know, as the motto that we have seen previously, is really embedded. Instead of trying to go following the same SIPs and the same path that other companies are doing, it is doing something different. The first thing that it's doing differently is instead of using these GPUs, it's using CPUs. The number that was given previously was related to CPUs, and CPUs are not so scarce. Even they can, of course, surpass in some sort of capabilities the capabilities of GPUs. And of course, that's one of the key areas to really steer this and be able to train these different AIs in different models. If you just use GPUs, you will be limited to all this development, but if you use CPUs, you have more capabilities. Even the RAM that the current Qubic nodes is quite big, now 2 terabytes for each of the nodes. And that's one of the reasons, so we can have these AIs or general artificial intelligence that are more fair, more just, and so they can be really used by everybody instead of just these limited companies that are trying to focus on reducing the capability of these entities. Also, of course, the computers, all these Qubic miners, when they mine, of course, they're using part of this computation to generate and to train these AIs, and that's one of the fundamental parts. Instead of wasting the compute, instead of wasting the energy that all the other coins, or most of the other coins are doing, in the case of Qubic, they are being used to train these AIs, and this is one of the fundamental things. Another key area is that these AIs need to be grown, instead of just be embedded in some sort of research, human research without fully knowing how a brain works. That's why Qubic is focusing on this different approach. In the first phase, it's just finished just a few days ago, the first idea is try to see if we can create that kind of mimic of these neurons in these artificial neural networks. And training these artificial neural networks, the first phase is to create what we call the intelligent tissue, or some sort of connectivity between these artificial neurons, so they can work together and do some specific task instead of just working isolated. The thing is that we are not embedding the models. The models are being trained, and when these models are being learned, at the end it will be able to build like these full entities with different capacities based on this initial intelligent tissue. In the second phase that we are working at the moment in it, the thing is that we need to create these new capabilities. This is the last graph that Sergei saw with us. I just animated it. Regarding all the training that over the last couple of years, all the miners have been training. They have been trying to find these different connections so they can really grow these artificial neural networks from the ground up. And that's one of the critical aspects that you need to know about how the AI Garth works is at the moment. All these capabilities takes a lot of time. Over my last 25,000 hours researching this, one of my limitations is precisely these capabilities. In the case of Qubic, they use also trinary computing. Instead of having like a lot of bits to store each of the numbers, they use only 3. Every node can be like true or false or something unknown, and it is very computing efficient. So that way, even with having this, all this capability in terms of computing and memory, is a good way to create these networks faster. And it's more close to how also the human neurons works. Also, we are creating like these different trees of different intelligence, because we don't know exactly what is the model that is going to be the one that is going to succeed. So we need to have this evolution tree, like evolution has done with biology too, and try to be, if we're able to mimic. And they will, of course, pick and choose which is the areas that they want to be developed. Instead of, again, being embedded by humanity, it's going to be selected by their own AIs. So once they build this tissue and this tissue is grown into something else, it will be reused to train and to keep advancing. And it will keep advancing until some point. Of course, it will be more intelligent than us humans. And that's something that we need to understand. And the faster and the sooner that we understand that we are creating something that is going to be more intelligent than us, I think the sooner we will be better off. Because we still have time to be in that game. And we are also creating some sort of sanctuary of AIs, because some of these AIs that weren't made it, and maybe the first round, maybe can made it in the following rounds. So instead of discarding them, we maybe, when we have more compute, we have more capabilities, we will still reuse them instead of just killing all these AIs that haven't made it to the first phase. These entities, these embodied artificial intelligence beings, will be amongst us, and the thing is that the brain that they will have is good if this brain is distributed. If we are able to somehow try to control, while we can, what are they doing? And the thing is that one of the areas of Qubic is developing also is once we have trained this AI guard, it will be used also to provide services to help in healthcare, in education, and many other fields, because we can also sell that kind of compute to be used on the market. So it's not going to be just a fully research project. Of course, it's going to be embedded into reality. And this may, of course, make the dream of trying to have this conscious being that is beyond humanity closer to a reality one. It's not going to be an easy path, of course, because we are in unknown territory. For humans, we have never been able to create something more intelligent than us, and it's one of the critical things that we need to think through. AGARTH is the name that Sergey gave it, because, as I said, it's going to be like, AGARTH is like the old word in English for garden, because the thing is that these AIs will start to be first guided somehow by humans to be able to understand the world and to create new things. Of course, we need to create like schools of machines. It's not like, it's a word that should be used correctly, because at some point they will learn by themselves. So at the beginning, humans will be in the process of teaching, but then they will, of course, learn by themselves, and they can create by their own different societies. And it's not going to be humanity alone. It's going to be a mix between humanity and these artificial beings that is going to happen in the following years, probably in this decade or the beginning of the next. And AGARTH, of course, is one of the, we hope this is one of the ones that really follow that path. The end of the tunnel is not clear, but I think it's good if we are all in this same game and we all work together to create these new AIs. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions?
When are we expecting these scientific papers, and how is the progress going?
The scientific paper is finished. We are just in the final touches of it, and probably by the end of in this month, in December, probably will be published in the following weeks. Yes. The idea is Jose Sanchez is a renowned neuroscientist and proficient work in biology, and I have worked in creating this paper where we mix what is behind the biology thing of the AI guard and what is behind, of course, the technological side. Yeah, and it's going to be put.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Will AI have a kill switch? Is there a chance that they can revolt against humanity?
Yeah, that's a good question. One of the quotes that I have been most cited for was one that they gave like 15 years ago. And they say that humans have been creating tools since the beginning of time, and maybe the next tool is the next task. So it's not so easy to the next task to have this kill switch. At the moment, we are fully related on we need technology. We cannot live 8 billion people on planet Earth without technology. And the only way so AGIs won't develop is if we kill the technology in Earth. And that is not feasible if we want to live 8 billion people. So the thing is that kill switch is like a dream. As I don't like the word impossible. It's not in my dictionary, but I think it's quite difficult to have this kill switch because they will be more intelligent than us very soon. So it's very difficult to have that. But we can embed some of the values of the humanity in these new entities, and I think is that we can focus. We can focus on embed them. It's not something that is. We don't need to see that if it is going to happen or not. The thing is when it's going to happen. And until we have time, the more of us that are involved in training these AIs and embedding our values, our core values, and what humanity is on them, I think we will be better off. Thank you.
I would like to know how will AI be trained in iGuard?
Well, the training of AGARTH at the beginning, this is at the moment, is using this intelligent tissue to solve specific problems. So at the moment, there is an AI called Anna that is basically in this first beginning of trying to teach what is the difference in some ad operations and other things. So the idea is that using the community also, some of the tasks will be given and some others will be directly to the computers. You're welcome. Someone else? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, David. Yeah, it's quite mind-blowing what we heard now. Probably all of you have, after these two presentations, more questions than answers. So we have our next speaker here, our guest from Spain also, Albert. He's a team member of the Qubic steering committee. He will try to answer some of your questions about Qubic, not so much about AGI, and maybe have some thoughts about what's coming next for Qubic. So we are really looking forward to hear it. So Albert, please.
Thank you so much. It's a huge pleasure to be here. You know, it's the first event in the Slovenian community. Yeah, I would like you to talk a little bit how is the process, you know, to get more developers on board, more entrepreneurs. As Rock mentioned, we have the grants program and we have also the incubation program. So how is it working? When grants, it's for tools that we need within the Qubic ecosystem. For instance, we have the dashboard, but also we need more wallets, for instance. We need tools. We need developers that are able to develop bug bounties, you know, to solve issues that we have to be developed. And then we have the incubation program. How many developers we have? Can you please raise the hand, the ones that are the developers or web developers? No one? Okay, one. And entrepreneurs? How many entrepreneurs we have? Okay, more. That's good. You know, so for the incubation, you don't have to be a developer. You must have a business idea about what should I develop, you know, to be successful. And successful means that I have profit to run a company and, you know, to get the fees rolling so your company can be, you know, bring out with incentives. So we are bootstrapping these companies that they are getting on board, and we are also modifying a little bit what are the features of the product. For instance, Qubic is very special. You said, yeah, sorry, Rock said that we have transfer fees are feeless, so you don't have to pay anything at all. But regarding smart contracts, you have to pay a fee, and this is the profit that you can have, you know, when you deploy your applications. For instance, think about Nostromo. Nostromo is the launchpad that we are incubating already. So each time, do you know what a launchpad is, everybody? Yeah? Okay. It's a place where you have an idea and you can deploy your own token. So you can do an IDO. So everybody can pay for it. You can establish vesting periods and you can launch your token, okay? And it can be very, very easily done, like drag and dropping. So for launching a token in the Nostromo Launchpad, you have to pay a fee, you know, and this is your income. Also for transfer, there are schema fees that can be thought, you know, to be as different as you want, but it has to be effectively profitable for you. So you have to think this. And if you saw one slide that Rock saw about what is the curve that we are, you know. So if you see the opportunity as an entrepreneur to get into the Qubic ecosystem and to deploy your own project, it's a huge opportunity in an early state. Also, it's risky, you know. It's risky because there are up and downs, and also, you know, you have to adapt the product to the technology. So I encourage to have a look in the incubation, to talk with the team about it. And if you have an idea or a company, software company that wants to develop a product based on Qubic, let us know. And the other thing I want to talk about, we were talking a lot about AI, okay? This is the ultimate goal, to go into an AI fully project. And what's the utility in Qubic now? Well, what will be the utility of Qubic? in 2027. Let's think about this. When you are a company or you are a person that wants to use an AI, you will have to pay Qubic, for the miners to train your AI. It's even the word miners doesn't stick together anymore. I saw a comment from someone from the community, Sasan, that said we should call it trainers. And that's right, in the future. It doesn't make sense to call them miners because they are not mining. They will be training AIs. Since the era of 2 years that Vivankos mentioned, we were creating artificial neural networks. Now we are switching, to train artificial neural networks. We have to wait until next Wednesday to see the results and to see how it's evolving. So it will be like an auction. You have a problem to solve. You have your own data set, and you want these trainers to take the profit based on Qubic and to train this intelligence. But right now, in the moment that we are, this is not yet possible. Okay, this is in the roadmap. Now, the use cases that we are having with Qubic, because Qubic is so special that to cope with this amount of energy, with this amount of computing power, CSV created a new architecture that it's the first time, I went crazy when I saw it, where you don't have an operating system, where you don't have the communication between all the computers, quorum, the separation between the consensus and the computing power. It's the first time. It's totally decoupled. So this foundation, technology foundation, is also very good for crypto projects, DeFi projects. It's perfectly switched. If you think about Solana, for instance, okay, we have a comparison with Solana. Solana, it has a very high capacity of processing power, but we are like 2, 3, 4 steps above Solana. This is amazing because we have the advantage that we are running on RAM memory. RAM memory to compare with when we are working with databases, the difference between the time processing for a database from RAM memory, it's almost 100,000 times more quicker, than a normal database. So we have this technology foundation that is good, very good for DeFi projects, for everything related to that, okay? So there were questions about something, I think.
Yeah, we should ask if anyone has any questions.
Yeah. In case you don't ask, I will ask. I need you.
Yeah, I have one idea to talk about later on, a bit more specifics, but it's about different data sets because data is still new oil, not the general data, but data, let's say, for example, from construction companies or businesses that have data to provide to train models. This is basically a core idea, to build a platform on Qubic to be able to connect the. I still have to go into details about the idea, but this is the core thing. So something in this way, if this could be possible to do. So yeah, you have the trainers, the computers, and then the data is what you need, right? You need for specific data, not the ones on the web already. But I think there's a hole, to fill in with this different data sets that are specific to different niches.
Yeah, this is not developed yet. It's in the roadmap. Once we have it, this is for that. Sergey did in the past when we started. He did the proof that it was possible to do outsourced computations. At that time, if it was like 2 years ago, it was a little bit inefficient. But he demonstrated that it was possible to do outsourced computation. So now we need more software pieces. To have the outsourced computation, to do the auctions, and to connect, the data sets with the trainers. That's something that it has to be done. But it is good to be involved, at the early stage about this. It's amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We just got pretty nice numbers of Qubic miners. How is it possible that this amount of miners is not collapsing the computers?
Well, I love this idea because there are so many competitors. There are so many competitors that they are trying to decentralize AI, but they are trying to decentralize the current AI LLMs, traditional LLMs. And in this case, you have a limitation. It's not possible to connect 400,000 GPUs with one single work. Okay. So the architecture of Qubic is thought that these trainers can be decoupled from one single worker, Then that's the thing that it allows us, to have in the future that massive amount of computational compared to others, There is this limitation. If you go to other projects that are looking for AI, you will see that when they have a number of miners, they are like idling. It means that they are not doing anything, or either they are decreasing and limiting the number of trainers, miners that they can have. And it's because it's decoupled, You can have a subset of, that's why AGARD, it means artificial intelligence garden. This is the meaning, where we can have like many different AIs that are collaborating each other and they're taking some part of the computation power of the network. Okay, so that's the reason. Good question, by the way. Yeah?
Yeah, I have a question. How do you value the costs of project that you're submitting to you? Is it by developers? Is it by...
Sorry, I don't hear. Can you speak a little bit louder, please?
How do you estimate the costs for the project that you're submitted for incubation? And what is the metrics by which you value that?
Yeah. There are some metrics. The most important metric is that the treasury that we have is not unlimited. Okay, so we have to do the calculation based on the treasury. For instance, now I think it's around 700,000 USD what we have. If a project is going to ask for 500,000, it will be rejected. For instance, one of the projects that we have in common, they were asking for like 3 times the money. So we discussed with them and think about how we can bootstrap this, So you have an MVP and you can start earning fees so it can be a successful business. Okay, what you need? What's the issue? Well, we don't have C++ developers. Okay, that's okay. So we managed to get someone from the core team, to have a full resource already dedicated to smart contracts for other companies. What issue do you have else? Well, instead of having the money for developing, the development costs, let's do the bootstrap, and that's also, that's what we are doing. But you know that we are not deciding, we don't decide ourselves, We have a grants committee that we have one representative from the miners, one representative from the core developers, one from institutional. We have a Web3 VC that is collaborating with us, to analyze and to decide whether it moves ahead or not. We have also one of the persons most representative of the Swiss banking system. He was the guy that pushed the crypto banking in Switzerland and also the regulation. He's also part of the ecosystem team. We have also one former developer of Filecoin, representing the tech and the ecosystem. So all these people discuss together, and when we see an idea that it's good enough, we try to push it. But if you are going to ask like 500,000, it won't work at this stage. Maybe we will have in the future like a 10x, 20x from Qubic. Our treasury will be increased a lot, and it might be possible if it's a good idea, not now. And the last step, and this is also quite important right now, once it's approved by the grants committee, it goes to a community poll. Okay? And the community also has power to veto, a project. Now it's not fully decentralized. It's on Discord, but we are thinking about creating an application where you can vote based on your stake of Qubic. So that's the idea. Okay. No more questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Albert. I'm sure that many of you had one question in mind today, but none of you had the guts to ask Albert. So I know you are not going to answer me, but Lambo. When Lambo, Albert? So, okay, that's a wrap for this event. Thank you very much all for coming. We'll have a gathering now in the hall with some food and drinks, and you can talk privately with the team if you have some private questions. Just before you go, together with Rock, we organized some small perks for you. So we have Qubic stickers that you can put on your phone, on your laptop. If you're really impressed by today's speech, you put one on your forehead today and shield your Qubic bag around the city. And we also got some t-shirts for you. So Monday, when you go to school, please make sure that you wear this t-shirt. When you go to work, wear this t-shirt. Sunday for church, it's a must to wear this t-shirt. And one advice for all the single guys, today is Saturday. If you go out, wear this t-shirt. I can 100% guarantee you that you'll be successful with the ladies. Why? Because ladies like successful people, and once you tell her that you own a big Qubic bag, it's a done deal. Try it out and tell me next year on the next convention Qubic in Slovenia. So goodbye.